So, I'm finally making this video after receiving tons and tons and tons of messages from you guys. I think this is the question that I get asked the most often out of everything, and that's how did I become a yoga teacher? And I know that there are so many of you out there who have a heart to teach yoga, and especially wanting to teach yoga to people living in differently abled bodies. And oh my gosh, like this makes me so excited that the yoga industry is moving in this direction, that there are so many people who want to make yoga more inclusive and accessible for everybody. So if that's what your desire is, I just want to say that I'm so happy you're here, and I'm so happy that this is something that you want to do. So I'm kind of just going to share my personal journey in this video, and what I really hope that you take away from this is that there is always more than one way of achieving a goal. So if you have a desire to teach yoga, no matter what physical limitations you might be living with yourself, no matter what obstacles you might be facing in your own life right now, there is always a way. There are always more than one way of doing something. So if this is your goal to teach yoga, there are so many different ways to go about achieving this goal. So to start, for those of you who don't know me already, my name is Rachel. I'm a yoga teacher, and I specialize in yoga for people living with chronic pain and chronic illness. And this is because I've been living with chronic illness since 2010, which is around the time that I started practicing yoga. I started practicing yoga at home. I looked up poses online and just kind of started doing yoga on my own in my bedroom. Didn't even own a pair of yoga pants, didn't own a yoga mat, just did it right on the carpet in my like old gym shorts from high school. So that was how I got started with yoga, just like Googling yoga poses and just being present with my breath while I was in the poses. And yeah, that's how I got started. I was looking for a practice that would focus more on breathing, like an exercise that would focus more on breathing, because at the time I was really struggling with symptoms from, I had a chest wall malformation called pectus excavatum, where my sternum caved in. So my lungs were squished, and I didn't know that this was what was happening at the time. I had had it my whole life. So it just never had caused problems for me before, but then I was like 18 years old, started having problems with it, started having shortness of breath, and I thought I was just out of shape. So I was like looking for exercises to help me be able to breathe better, and so that I could still do the other exercises that I like doing. Well, I didn't really like running, but I did it because I felt like I should. So yeah, that's how I got started practicing yoga. And from there, I really fell in love with the practice. I love everything about yoga. I love the physical aspect. I love the meditative aspect where you're really focusing in the present moment. I love all the philosophy, and just the poetry of yoga is just so beautiful to me. And I absolutely fell in love with it. And so I became kind of obsessive about it, and it really changed my life. I feel like yoga has made me a more compassionate person. It's made me a more centered person, a more grounded person. And yeah, I just absolutely am in love with this practice. And the more I studied it, the more I started talking to people about it, and people could see like the difference it was making in my life. It helped me to regain my strength after I had surgery to correct that pectus excavatum problem. It helped me to rebuild my strength. And then I developed fibromyalgia, developed a whole bunch of symptoms and just chronic pain and chronic fatigue. And yoga has really been what has gotten me through all of those hard times with my chronic illnesses. And it's really helped me to stay present in the moment, and to really just accept myself for exactly who I am, and to accept my body for where it is in the present moment. So I think I had it in my head for the longest time that in order to be a yoga teacher, I would have to go and do like a 200-hour yoga teacher training at a yoga studio, or else I'd have to go to India and study with a guru, and I would have to be able to do a handstand, because if I couldn't do a handstand, how could I ever be a yoga teacher? And yeah, it just felt like it was never gonna happen for me because I was dealing with chronic illness. There weren't any studios in my town that taught a yoga teacher training program, and I had chronic illness, so it wasn't like I was gonna be able to travel and go places and do that. And I wasn't gonna be able to do a handstand, so that meant I couldn't be a yoga teacher. So there were just all of these things that I felt like were standing in the way, but then like it just happened for me. Like it was a desire of my heart, and I feel like we'll never have a desire if we're not meant to fulfill it. Like that's just my belief. Like you'll never be given a desire unless you're meant to fulfill it. So it just started happening for me. Like doors started opening. I was able to complete my training programs 100% online, and just things worked out for me in a way that I could still take care of my body, and I could still stay true to myself and be authentic, and I didn't have to do handstands or crazy things. And so yeah, it just all worked out, and I'm so grateful for that. So as I deepened my yoga practice, the people around me were really noticing the effect it was having on my life, and they started asking me to teach them things. They started asking me for advice, started asking me for tips, and there were even people who wanted me to do like little yoga sessions with them. And so I was like teaching yoga to all my friends and family. I started teaching classes in the park, and this is all even before I got certified. It just kind of like happened where it was like all of a sudden I was just teaching yoga. And I think that happens to a lot of yoga teachers, that the opportunity to teach is going to present itself to you before you will ever even feel like you're ready. I know, like, I definitely didn't feel ready. But sometimes, like, you know, the universe just arranges itself and things start happening, and you just gotta go with the flow, you know, and just trust that everything happens in divine timing. So yeah, I started teaching yoga to my friends and family, started having yoga classes in the park, and then I started my YouTube channel. And because I had just fallen in love with yoga so much, and at that time, like, the yoga that I had needed wasn't available online. So I had to create my own yoga practices and do my own yoga practices, because when I would go online and I would like search yoga for chronic pain, or yoga for fibromyalgia, or yoga for chronic fatigue, even those classes that were supposedly designed for these issues were too challenging for me. I could not do them. So I ended up having to design my own yoga sequences to suit my body and to suit my physical needs. So when I decided to start my YouTube channel, it was because I knew that there was a need for this. I knew that there were other people like me in the world who needed this gentle, more like inviting, more relaxed style of yoga that wasn't intimidating, that allowed for props and modifications, and, you know, not being so like restrictive to the traditional asanas. So I knew that there was a space in the yoga world for this. I knew that there was a need for this. So that's why I created Sleepy Santosha, because I knew there were other people like me who would need these practices. Again, this is all before I got certified. But I feel like, and this is something that my teacher has always said, is that whenever you're teaching from your own direct experience, you can never be wrong. So that's another nugget I want to leave you guys with, is that if you're teaching from your own direct experience, your authenticity and your truth is always going to be the thing that touches people the most, you know? I mean, it's going to be that connection that you have to your own personal practice, and sharing that with your students is always going to be the most powerful thing. And I think that goes for more than just yoga. I think our authenticity is the greatest gift that we can give this world. So a couple of years after I started teaching yoga on YouTube, I came across this online yoga teacher training called the Yoga for All training. It's a 6-week course taught by Amber Carnes and Diane Bondi, and I feel like I just got so much out of this training. I absolutely loved it. Even though I was already teaching a pretty gentle, accessible style of yoga, I felt like this training helped me to take that to a whole new level of just inclusivity. So it really focuses on making yoga accessible for all different kinds of bodies. So they really give you lots of different pose modifications. Like there are just so many amazing creative ideas that they had that I would have never thought of. And so I felt like that was a really, really cool aspect of the training. And they also really focused on health at every size, health for everybody, because we're all so unique and individual. And I felt like that focus on making yoga poses accessible for people living in larger bodies, and making the poses just more comfortable and spacious for people living in larger bodies was a part of the training that I really benefited from, because even though drawing from your own personal experience is really, really powerful, there are going to be certain things that we can't draw from personal experience on. So like for me, I'm living in a slim, tall body. I've had a slim, tall body my whole entire life. So I can't draw from my firsthand experience to help people who are living in larger bodies. So this training really helped me to understand what someone living in that type of body might need in a yoga pose. So now I feel like I'm able to offer a more diverse set of options for them with yoga poses and yoga props and all that. So that was a part of the training that I really, really benefited from. And yeah, just focusing on the words that we use, the way that we sequence our classes, and just making things more gentle and kind, and focusing on the yogic principle of ahimsa, of doing no harm, and really empowering your students to make their own choices about their own bodies. So I just really, really loved this training so much. If you are interested in doing something like this, if you want to see if it's something that's right for you, I'll leave some links in the description box below. It's a 6-week course, but I mean, it's all about accessibility, right? So they give you a full year to complete it, so you can go at your own pace as you need to. I would say that if you're interested in this course, you probably would want to have at least some kind of experience with yoga. Probably not great for super, super beginners. You'll want to make sure that you have just a basic understanding of yoga asana and a basic understanding of Sanskrit. But I'd say that it's great for beginner yoga teachers and seasoned yoga teachers. So yeah, I'll just leave that information in the description box if you're interested. So after I completed that 6-week course with Diane and Amber, I decided to do a 200-hour yoga teacher training with Brett Larkin. And she has a pretty big YouTube channel here. So if you want to look her up, I would recommend her. Her classes are more active than mine. But I really love her Kundalini classes. I really love her style of yoga. And one of the reasons I chose her as my teacher is because Brett talks a lot in her classes, and I felt like I'm a very quiet person naturally. So I felt like taking this course with her helped me to kind of balance out and kind of helped me to find my voice, and to feel more confident in speaking and giving instructions. And so yeah, I kind of felt like she balanced me out in that aspect. But this course was a 200-hour course, so it took place over the span of like a full semester, so like 4 months. And oh my God, this course was life-changing for me. And I don't say that lightly, like for real, it has been life-changing for me. It focused a lot on anatomy, so I want to say like a huge chunk of it, probably like 50% of what we learned was all about anatomy, but not like boring anatomy, not like boring textbook anatomy. It's all anatomy in relationship to yoga and how the body works. And it just made me fall in love with my own body. Like, it just deepened my sense of appreciation for this vessel that I get to live in. Like, it was just so beautiful for me to study this and to learn everything about the body and how it relates to yoga. We studied the chakras, and we studied a little bit about tantra and just like energetic things, and studying the energetic body. And we studied the fascia, which was super cool. And just, there was so much in this course, and I honestly feel like I could revisit the content over and over again and just keep learning from it. Just like every time I rewatch the videos, I pick up something new. Like, it's just so cool. Like, everything she teaches in this course is so cool. So just like the Yoga for All training, Brett's training is done completely online. And so again, you can go at your own pace. The course itself takes place over the semester, so I would recommend, if you decided to do it, to try and keep up with the group, because we meet every week to discuss the coursework. So it's just helpful to be able to like get that discussion and to connect with the community of your yoga teacher training group. But after the semester is over, you get a full year to turn in your exam and your practicum. If this is something you're interested in doing, I would encourage you to keep in mind that this is a more active style of yoga. So Brett teaches a more vinyasa style of yoga. She's very beginner friendly, but it is a more active style of yoga. So if, like, right now your personal practice looks like bed yoga and restorative yoga, this training probably won't be right for you, just because you're gonna be practicing more vinyasa styles of poses throughout the course. And then your final exam, your practicum, where you teach a sample class, it has to be taught in the vinyasa style. So you wouldn't be able to submit a restorative class for your final exam. So I would just tell you to keep that in mind. I'll leave a link in the description box for Brett's training if you're interested in learning more about it. I would highly recommend both of these trainings. They have been so influential in my life, just in general, and as a yoga teacher. So I can't recommend them enough. So at this point in my journey, I am teaching 100% online. So I don't teach in a yoga studio or anything like that. Everything I do is from home, so I record my classes here at home, and then I upload them to YouTube or to my website, where I have a monthly membership program, which I'll leave a link to in the description box below in case you want to go peek around a little bit. So yeah, this has worked really well for me. It gives me a lot of freedom. I can work whenever I'm feeling up to it and just balance my energy and my symptoms. So I really love the freedom this gives me. So I just want to reiterate to you that there's always more than one way of doing something. And if you have it in your heart to be a yoga teacher, there are ways for you to make that possible. If you want to be a yoga teacher, but you're not quite sure if you're ready to commit to a yoga teacher training, the best thing you can do is to keep deepening your personal yoga practice. So make sure you're practicing yoga every single day. Make sure you're reading everything you can about yoga. Practice different styles of yoga. Try things you've never done before. Make sure you're meditating, and just make time for your practice, because it's that personal experience that is going to be the foundation of what you end up teaching. It's going to give you inspiration to teach. So yeah, I hope that this video was helpful for you guys. Please let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. I am definitely open to sharing with you guys, so leave them below, and I will talk to you guys again soon.